Look what we got here, the brand new Amazfit Active 2 Square. What's up friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dave from Chase the Summit, and today we're gonna be taking a first look, quick unboxing sort of thing on the new Amazfit Active 2 Square. The reason why this video is not going to be a full in-depth review is because I've already reviewed this watch. This is the Amazfit Active 2, the original, which is round, as you can see there. This new version is essentially the same watch as the Active 2, just now in a new form factor. Now, before I crack open the box, I do want to remind you that if you want to see a full in-depth review on all the details on what these watches can do, go check out my initial review of the Active 2. I'll link that on the screen now so you can go learn all about it. But in this video, we're just going to crack open this box and see what this new version's all about. Gonna pull off the cover now, and there it is. Wow, it's actually kind of cool. We do have this little screen protector thing we'll get rid of and get this thing out of the box. So that is the Amazfit Active 2 Square. We will fire this thing up and see what it's all about in a minute, but I'm just curious what else we get in the box. Okay, so inside here we do get a charger. We'll talk more on that in a minute because that's kind of interesting. And we do actually get an additional silicone band in the box. The band attached to the Active 2 Square here is actual real leather band, and it does feel pretty high quality. And then they do include the silicone band for your active pursuits out there, because you're not gonna wanna work out wearing a leather band. Other than that, we got some paperwork. Don't care. I'm gonna go ahead and boot up the Active 2 Squared here. You can see the Amazfit logo, and we'll get it all set up on my phone in the Zep app. And just like that, the watch is now paired with my phone, and right away we're at the watch face. Super easy setup there. All right, let's take a closer look at this watch. As you can see there, I'm actually getting my calendar reminder to film and edit the Amazfit Active 2 video. Check. Right off the bat, what I can say about this watch is it looks super premium, especially with that default analog watch face that's on there right now. You can see it just went into the always on display mode. But from the outside, this looks like an expensive timepiece, and it's kind of surprising when you hear about the price. So the Amazfit Active 2 Square here will retail for $149 here in the USA, which is actually the same price as the premium version of the standard Active 2 round. Now, unlike the original Active 2 here, the Active 2 Square only comes in one version at launch. If you remember, on the standard Active 2, the round version, there were two versions. There was a base model that was $99, and then the premium model, which is the one I have here, that was $149. And for that extra 50 bucks, you got a Sapphire display, you got two bands in the box, and a couple of other things. So I feel like a lot of people opted for the higher end model, and maybe that's why this Square edition here only comes in the premium version. Now, if we flip both of these watches over, the standard Active 2 on the left and the Square version on the right, you can see that they have the exact same optical heart rate sensor on the back there. Again, this is not a full review, but I have tested the Active 2 in previous videos, so go check that out. And in my testing, this heart rate sensor did fairly decent, along with the GPS accuracy of this watch. Another thing you'll notice though is that the Active 2 and Active 2 Square also share the same charging contacts, these little metal pieces at the top and bottom of the optical heart rate sensor there. And that is for this little charging puck here. So this magnetically goes on the back, it only goes one way, and it securely goes on there with a magnet, and then you stick a USB Type-C cable on the side here to charge it. When it comes to the included bands with the Amazfit Active 2 and 2 Square, they appear to be the same size. I'm pretty sure these are a 20mm quick release band. So you can pop these off very easily with your fingernail by pushing these little pins, and then you can swap them out with any band you might have or anything from Amazon or even direct from Amazfit. Like I said, you do get this included silicone band in the box, and it does appear to be the exact same band that is included with the round version as well. The silicone band is vented, it's got all of these holes in it, and it does have a good amount of stretch, so it's probably gonna be pretty comfortable. And my version came with this orange band. I don't know if they'll all be like that. Let's go ahead and get this watch on my wrist so we can take a look at what it feels and looks like. I will say it does look a little bit small, but I am used to larger watches. So that's what the Active 2 Square looks like on my wrist. I do have 165 millimeter circumference wrists. They're not super big, but as you can see, this watch fits me just fine, and I think it actually looks really nice. Now for a quick size comparison, let's get some other watches on the table here. I've got the Amazfit T-Rex 3 here, which is a much larger watch. We've got the Garmin Venue X1 that just came out a couple of days ago. I think that's a good detail to have because it's square, and let's also grab an Apple Watch Series 10 here. So as you can see, the Active 2s are both relatively small watches compared to these other watches here. The T-Rex 3 is definitely the biggest and beefiest. It is sort of an outdoor watch where the Active 2s are more lifestyle oriented, even though they can do a lot of fitness things. And then you've got the Venue X1 here, which is a significantly larger watch because it does have a 2-inch AMOLED display. And then we do have the Apple Watch Series 10 all the way on the right here. All right, so like I said, this watch is going to come in at $149 here in the USA, and you do get a lot for that value. It is surprising what they can cram into these watches while still being so affordable. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire spec sheet because, again, this is identical in terms of features and specs to the standard Active 2 on the right here, now just in a different form factor. However, there are some slight changes. The Active 2 here is a 43 millimeter tall while 37 millimeter wide watch, and it does come in at 9 millimeters thick, which is really thin. This watch weighs 31.4 grams, which is incredibly light, and it does have a stainless steel frame around the perimeter here. All of this bezel material is actually metal, along with the buttons. They do feel like metal as well. And then the back of the watch is like a polycarbonate or some kind of plastic. This is a 2-button design. So you've got 2 buttons on the right here. The top one, if you press it, will dive you into all of your apps and stuff. And as you can see, the user interface is really fluid and smooth. And then the bottom button here will bring you directly into your activity menu. Here's where you can start your runs or bike rides or anything from Amazfit's hilarious list of other activities. And of course, this watch is water resistant down to 5 atmospheres or 50 meters, so it's fine for going for a swim or even taking in the shower. Internally, this watch does have an accelerometer, a gyro, a temperature sensor, so it'll pick up temperature data. It also has an ambient light sensor, so it can pick up the environmental light and adjust the brightness of the display accordingly. And it does have a compass and barometer as well, so you will get live elevation data during your activities if you're going hiking or something like that. This watch features a 1.75 AMOLED touch-enabled display, and it's actually a rather large display despite the small form factor of this watch. Plenty big to see what's going on, and the touchscreen is actually super responsive, very snappy, very usable. I can dive into my weather app here, see what's going on with the forecast for the day and what's going to come up tomorrow. It's all pretty slick. When it comes to the brightness of this display, Amazfit doesn't actually have a spec for that yet. It does look like it's probably, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 nits. It seems plenty bright, even out in direct sunlight. I'm probably not going to be worried about this. One thing I have noticed so far, and something I did notice on the Amazfit Active 2 round here, is that the Sapphire display, while it is very scratch resistant, is kind of prone to fingerprints. You can see on the round Active 2 here, it's got some smudges on it. That's just inherent to the type of Sapphire they're using. So when you do touch the display, sometimes you do have to wipe it off with your t-shirt or something just to clean it up a little bit. It's not a major deal. Diving back into the activity menu here, of course, this is a GPS-enabled watch. It does have a 5 satellite positioning system. I don't think it is dual band or multi-band enabled. It's the exact same as the Active 2 here, which does have multi-GNSS, but not multi-band GNSS, which means it can position itself using multiple satellite systems, just not 2 simultaneously. And again, I have reviewed the Active 2 in terms of GPS and heart rate accuracy, and the GPS performance on the Active 2 here did pretty well. So I wouldn't expect it any different on the Active 2 squared here because they probably share a very similar antenna design. Now, just like the Active 2, this does have a very similar user interface using Zepp OS. Swiping down from the top brings you to all of your quick menu items where you can adjust your brightness, see your battery life, etc. Swiping up from the bottom brings up your phone's notifications. Swiping to the left will bring you into sort of a truncated view of all of your widgets. And swiping to the right will start cycling through all of the widget tiles. So here I've got my readiness score for the day. I've got my activity for the day, step count, stand time, active minutes, etc. My weather widget here with little animation in the background to show what's going on outside, which is really nice. Heart rate widget, and then we've got an activity widget here where I can quickly start a run. Diving into the apps menu here, we do have all the same apps that we've seen on previous Amazfit. As I've gone through that, you've probably noticed a couple of things, and that's because this watch has a speaker and microphone on board. So I can actually take and make phone calls directly from the watch without digging my phone out of my pocket. Now keep in mind, this is not an LTE enabled watch, but it does have connectivity to my phone, so I can receive phone calls directly on the watch and talk to people right through it. I can also take voice memos, and I can interact with Zepp's AI assistant that allows me to do a variety of things. I can search, I can start activities. Scrolling back up, you can also see that we do have a map app here, and if I dive into that, it's telling me I have no map resources because this watch does support offline mapping, which is really useful. And Amazfit's implementation of mapping is actually surprisingly good because not only are the maps very detailed, but they also have map labels. So if you have an upcoming trail junction or road, you'll see a little piece of text that'll actually tell you what that road or trail is. Okay, now let's talk about battery life on the Amazfit Active 2 Square. Again, it's identical to the Amazfit Active 2, despite these two watches having a different form factor and probably different power requirements. Both watches have a claimed 10 days of standard use. That's typical use. That means some GPS activity day to day, some notifications, standard default settings when it comes to brightness and things like that. You'll get about 10 days of use on both of these watches. And on top of that, when you are in a GPS activity or when you're on a run or a bike ride or something like that, you'll get up to 21 hours in a GPS activity, which is actually pretty good for a watch of this size because in comparison, I've got the Garmin Venue X1 here, which is a great watch, but this watch can only get about 16 hours in a GPS activity. So these watches are getting around 21 hours, which is pretty impressive. In either case, that's just a quick first look at the new Amazfit Active 2 Square here, what it looks like, some of the features. Again, not a full in-depth review, just an unboxing and a first look at it to see what it's all about. I'm actually pretty impressed with this watch. Again, I was pretty impressed with the Active 2 when I reviewed it the first time as well. At this price, at $149, you're getting maps, music storage, all of the bells and whistles of a high-end sport watch, along with a Sapphire display, which is kind of unheard of at this price point, for $150, which is really impressive. Now, I will need some more time with the Active 2 Square to really come to a conclusion on this. Again, just getting it out of the box. But now I want to hear from you in the comments down below. Do you want to see a full in-depth review of the Active 2 Square? Is it worth it, even though I've already reviewed the Active 2? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if you're interested in this watch, if you're going to grab one at this price point, because it's pretty affordable. I'd like to hear that as well. Or if you're just going to stick with something like the Amazfit BIP 6, which is even cheaper than this watch and still has a lot of the same features. All right, friends, that is the end of this video. Hopefully you found it entertaining. Hopefully you learned something here. And if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you drop down, give me that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, because there is a lot more coming in the very near future from a lot of these brands. It's a very busy time of year, and you're going to see me very soon. I hope you don't get sick of me. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Countdown and release the confetti. The party don't start till I get there. I said it's all in the rest and it ain't fair. I've been waiting on this moment.